for the crop they work on it in the quarantine, they check it, give it some time, whether it will develop some diseases or pests or not. So once it has passed that stage, then it can now be introduced into the country. But if they fail that test, the crops are either destroyed or they are re-exported at the expense of the importers. So they are taken back to the country where they are brought from if it does not pass the test of the quarantine. In Nigeria, the quarantine test is carried out at the International Institute of Tropical Agriculture, that is the IITA, at Moniya in Ibadan. So that is where we do quarantine tests in Nigeria. What are the advantages of introduction? First, exotic crops can now be cultivated in other countries and continents. So because a crop is indigenous to a particular country, doesn't say that it cannot be introduced in another country. So a crop that is native to a country can be planted in another country. So the indigenous of those new countries can now benefit from such crops. For instance, cocoa and rubber. Cocoa, they originated from Brazil. Cocoa and rubber originated from Brazil and the Amazon region of South America. But now they are being cultivated in Nigeria and even in Ghana, and so many other places. So because they did not originate from Nigeria, I didn't say that we will not have them in Nigeria. Then another advantage of introduction is that it is easy to transport the pollens of the desired crops from one country to another. So instead of carrying the fruit or the whole plants, you can just carry the pollens. So it saves cost. Then another advantage of introduction is that it can lead to the improvement of the standard of living of the people. The standard of the living is improved when there is a variety of food for them to eat. So the standard of the living is improved. Another advantage is that pests and disease attacks are controlled. Since you take the crops through the quarantine, pest and disease is reduced. Pest and disease attack is reduced because the plants we have to, or the crops we have to pass through the quarantine test. The next advantage, the yield or the productivity of the crops can now be improved upon. It might even be better in the new country than where it used to be because it can be worked upon. The productivity and the yield can be worked upon. Another thing is that the introduced crop can also be used to crossbreed the local varieties. The crops that you are introducing, for instance, you can have a crop that is indigenous to a country, but you're not bringing another variety from another country. So we can hybridize the crop you are bringing with the local one so that you can have a new variety entirely. That is called hybridization. So that's another advantage of introduction. So you have a better crop. Another advantage is that it is the only means of obtaining new and desirable combination of inheritance character. So when you bring in a crop from another country, you have a new and a desirable combination of inheritance character. So it's a means that you can obtain new and desirable combination of inheritance character. Now to the disadvantages of introduction. First, introduced crops may introduce certain diseases which may be very difficult to detect during the quarantine period. As much as the crops are taken through the quarantine test, some diseases may not even show, or some pests, you may not discover them in the quarantine during the quarantine period. So new pests and diseases might be introduced alongside the new crops. Another disadvantage is that the new crops may also be susceptible to local diseases, thereby affecting their performance. A crop that you are bringing from Brazil, for instance, might be susceptible to or might be prone. That is the meaning of susceptibility. When a crop is open to an attack of a local crop. So the new crop, even though it has never been in Nigeria before, you are bringing it for the first time, but now it is prone to be attacked by some local diseases. So that's a disadvantage. Then the next one is that introduced crops may not be able to adapt to prevailing soil conditions. You know, the countries are different, so the climatic, the edaphic factors are also different. So the crop may find it difficult to adapt to the prevailing soil conditions in the new country that you are bringing it into. The next is that the climatic and other environmental conditions may be difficult, and the new crops may not be able to adapt. The new crop may find it very difficult to adapt to the new climatic change and environmental change that is in the new country. So that's another disadvantage of introduction. The next is that it is expensive to practice. Bringing a crop from another country to a new country, taking it to quarantine, and all those processes is very expensive to practice. Another thing is that it can lead to economic loss if the new crop could not adapt to the new environment. It can lead to economic crop if the crop cannot adapt. Maybe the weather condition is not so suitable, the soil condition is not favorable, or even the crop does not pass the quarantine test. Then that's a loss. The last disadvantage that I'm talking about is it requires skilled personnel to execute. Anybody cannot just go to bring a crop from one country and just no. It has to be done by a skilled personnel. So that's another disadvantage. So if the skilled personnel is not on ground, then introduction might be impossible. Now, the next method of crop improvement is selection. Selection is the ability of choosing either a crop or a group of crops possessing certain artificial qualities which are easily recognized by the sense of sight. So when you choose a crop, whether you choose this or the other, or a group, you choose an individual crop or a group of crops that possess certain external qualities that you can see with your eyes. Okay, this one, it has high crop yield. Okay, this color is good. So when you select it, that's what is called selection process. So crops with certain desirable characteristics are selected and are allowed to reproduce and go to the next generation. So when you get the plant, okay, this one is good, this one is good, this one, so you pick the good ones and you allow them to reproduce. So we have another generation of those good crops. That's what selection is about. Now, the methods of selection. First, individual or mass selection. Individual or mass selection is a process of picking either a crop or a group of crops that conform to certain external qualities. Okay, there is something you are looking for as a breeder or as a farmer. This is, okay, you want a particular taste, you want a particular height, you want a particular color, you like this size of fruit. So you are choosing those plants that have those characteristics that you have in mind. So it is assumed that any member of such a group that you have chosen possess that desired trait. Okay, you have a taste or a height, a color of flower that you are looking out for, or size of fruit. So you choose those plants, and any member of crops in that group, or any member of a crop, or a crop that's a member of that group that you have chosen, is believed to possess the desired traits that you want. The next method of selection is line selection. This is more like hybridization. Any crop that has been tested and proven to have desirable traits is selected, but this method is time consuming and requires good and accurate record keeping. Okay, we've been planting this seed for the past 3 years. This is the yield that we've been having. This is the yield we had in 2010. Okay, we had this yield in 2011. We had this yield in 2013. Okay, when you look at the consistency of the character you are looking out for, then you can choose them. So that is why I said the method is time consuming and it requires a good and accurate record keeping. If that is not in place, then line selection might not be possible. The next method of selection, pedigree selection. This pedigree selection is based on the ability to compare the performance of an offspring based on the ability of its parents. So you are choosing the offspring based on the performance of its parents, since they carry the same gene and there are similarities in them. So you choose the offspring based on the performance that you have seen the parents had. And this also is only possible when there is adequate record keeping, when your records are in place and they are up to date, accurate. So you can do pedigree selection. Now, to the advantages of selection. First, the farmer can cultivate the type of breed of crop he desires. So he can choose. He has options in selection. The next is that the only the best type of naturally available crop is selected. The best. You look out for, okay, this has the highest crop yield, okay, this has a very good color, I like the size of this food. So the best type of naturally available crop is selected. The next, it can lead to control of diseases and pests. Okay, since they have your record, you've been looking at their performance for a while. Okay, you can say, okay, this particular line of crop is prone to disease and pests, so you are not using that particular crop again, or particular type of crop again, because of your record. So you can easily control such diseases and pests that are associated with that kind of crop. Then the next, the seed with the best qualities are selected for further distribution to other areas. Since you've been working on them, you have your results, you can see them. Okay, the best seeds, or the seeds with the best quality, are the ones that you choose, reproduce, and even send to other areas. Then the crops with bad traits are not selected. That's just it. The crops that have low yield, they are prone to